Pleasant good morning, one and all. Welcome to the midweek episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Welcome. Hope you had a pleasant night. Hope you are all relaxed and ready for class. And here we are again today, Wednesday, the 26th day of November, in the year of our Lord 2025. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living. We should never, ever take that for granted. So welcome, one and all. Welcome. And again, we got to tell you, share as you come in, share, and let them know that we're on. I know this is a busy time. If you are in the U.S., you're preparing for Thanksgiving, a busy shopping day, busy traveling day, and all of that. So share the live. And therefore, the fact that it is such a busy day and you are going to take some time to spend with us on this program, the next 2 hours or so, we are very appreciative of that. How we know you could have been doing other things. And many of you, I suspect, are multitasking, is that you're doing other things and you're listening to the program. We welcome you. Share the live. Share and let them know that we are on. Today, again, as I've said, it's Wednesday, midweek program, Wednesday, the 26th day of November, 2025. And God has spared us to see another day and to take part in this program. And we are grateful. My colleague, CC, is in the studio waiting. He had some difficulties this morning in getting on. I hope it has been resolved so that we can bring you credible, valuable information. So share, and we're going to be with it a short while. As we say what we do, we bring you the announcements, the sad ones first, and then we brighten up the mood, give you the better, the more pleasant birthday announcements and other announcements that we have to make. And then we're going to discuss some issues that are of interest to one and all. So share, and don't forget to give us the thumbs up when you come on. Right? You're on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up. In Facebook, people as well follow, subscribe, and we are going to be with you. Now, as we indicated, we're gonna acknowledge those students who came in early in the first minute or so. The program was scheduled at exactly 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. That would have been 9 o'clock Guyana time. And immediately, there were lots of students here this morning standing at the gate, waiting to get in. And the first person who is listed, and remember, everybody can't come in. You might all be there at 8, but you all can't get into the schoolyard at the same time. So this is the manner in which they were listed. Danny was here first. And let me tell you something about the display. This somebody told me on Monday, I know I said I'm not sure if the names are displayed in this manner because of something I have done. But somebody got on and somebody said nothing that you did wrong. There is the YouTube changing the way names are displayed, and it's all the other programs will shortly be displayed in similar manner. So I'm reassured. I thought maybe I did something wrong. So the first person in was Danny. Then Jakey is here. Then Janella, Lucius, Ian is here with us early. Peter, Barbara, Aubrey from Canada. Then it was Evelyn, Paulette, Kay, Kerry is here with us. Gibbo, they all came at 8. And then it was Grantley, Sean from upstate New York, Derek, Paulette, this is Earl, Anthony, Brian. They all came at 8. Then shortly after, we had Raul, Felicia, the Angel Ridley is here, Dexter, Paulette, Emerson, Patrick from the UK, Courtney. Then it was Fergus. I'm not sure who that is, but that is the first set of persons. Dexter, the first set of persons, Ivor, that came in. And then when we open the doors, let's see who are the first ones to be in. I would not be surprised if it is our student is always there. Here he is. Yes, Edward was the first person. Then Simon, Pam from West Demerara, Trifosa. Then it was Ingrid, Habu from Essequibo Coast is here with us. Rosie Rose, always early. Dion Ryan came in early as well. Then then we have Orette, Ingrid, Linda, and the list goes on and on. Junior came and came. So welcome, 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 and all. So that is the truncated roll call. So let's go now to see what are the announcements we have to make. The sad ones, we did tell you about the death of Lieutenant Colonel Claude Fraser, and that his funeral is going to be funeral service tomorrow, is it? Yeah, tomorrow the 27th. And they say viewing at the Memorial Gardens Crematorium from 11 to 12:15. And then the body departs there at 12:30. Funeral service at the Central Seventh-day Adventist Church, Ornock Street, from 1 to 4, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Then he departs there at 4:15 to drive through this residence in Lamar Spring. It arrives back at Memorial Gardens at 5 p.m. for a military last rites. So I guess the last post and thing will be blown there. Then on Friday the 28th, there'll be a viewing at the Memorial Gardens from 2 to 2:30 p.m., followed by cremation. So that is the information for Claude, my late friend, Claude Fraser, Lieutenant Colonel, retired. Again, tomorrow is going to be viewing at the Memorial Gardens from 11 to 12:15. And the funeral service will be at the Central Seventh-day Adventist Church and Church and Ornock Street from 1 to 4 p.m. Then a drive past his residence in Lamar Springs, then to the gardens, the Memorial Gardens for military last rites, and then on Friday viewing from 2 to 2:30 p.m. and then followed by the cremation. We also told you about the death of Woman Sergeant 21729 Suzette Blair. She used to be at the Welfare Department, we understand. Well, there's a wake tonight at our residence, 540 Beefield, Sophia. We haven't received information about the funeral, but there's a wake tonight at our residence, 540 Beefield, Sophia. Then Dotson, remember we told you about the death of Inspector Dotson. So his funeral is today. Viewing would have completed, should have been 10 to 11 Sandy's funeral. And then the church viewing from 12 noon, that should be going on now to 1 p.m. And then they say funeral burial sometime after. I told you of the death of Owen Edwards. Many of you would not know Owen, popular, very respected engineer, Demerara Harbour Bridge and elsewhere. And then I learned yesterday of the death of Victor Green. The older guys might know Victor Green. He had a hotel in Rob Street, just east of Camp Street, on the southern secondary. I'm not sure, can't remember the name, and I think he had something to do with an hotel on the quarantine. So the Victor died yesterday, I understand, and we're gonna keep you updated with that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway. I hope he can hear us. I'm gonna bring him in now, and then we're gonna tell you about some other incidents, and then we're gonna move on. CC, welcome. You didn't get to check out this one. Hope you can hear me. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Welcome. Yes, somebody's telling me that the hotel, it was Friends. Yeah, Friends Hotel in Rob Street, just east of Camp Street there. Right, Friends Hotel. Thank you very much, guys. Yes, CC, go ahead.
Yeah, happy to be in the land of the living to do God's work. I had some difficulties with try both computers, and I had a whole lot of difficulty, but they say giving up is not an option, and I must be able to do God's work, so let's get on with it.
Yeah, so people tell it, I said it here not loud and clear, and them boys say that the Friends Hotel and the disco there, Green Shrimp or something like that. Yeah, so Victor, the proprietor of that establishment, passed yesterday. I know he was a twin. I don't know if the twin is still alive. Let me give you we're gonna go into the birthday greetings, then we're gonna come back to make some other announcements. Birthday greetings today are going out to my former secretary of traffic headquarters there, Patricia Canterbury. Canty, happy birthday to you. Also celebrating the birthday. We know it's birth anniversary, but we guys call them birthday, right? Birthday. So Benjamin Bristol, the man from Myconi, I'm sure he's on the program 8948. Bristol from Myconi, a regular on the program. He's observing a natal day as well. Old man from the TSU, right? I remember, Benji, I remember the story with you and me at Adventure on the quarantine when I was a young officer. They ain't going to talk about it, but we got to talk about that over drinks, man. I get a good memory. I don't forget those things. Then today is the birthday of a loyal student, Yolanda Wilcher. Yolanda, special birthday greetings are going out to Yolanda, who is, I'm sure, on the program. If she's not here as yet, she's going to come on shortly because she comes on and makes her observations and so on. So Yolanda is observing a natal day today. They say you don't ask women how old they are, so I'm not going to ask you that. Well, I say, when I look at your pictures, I've not seen you in person in a while. You look fairly young. And young is relative. So happy birthday to you, Yolanda. Today is also the birthday of a family member, my brother-in-law, Julian Tinney of Grove, East Bank, Demerara, is observing a natal day today as well. In terms of belated birthday greetings, I learned that Cyrus Williams, former member, 13303 Williams, had a birthday or a birth anniversary recently. Then we add in terms of upcoming birthdays, tomorrow, I think it is, Varsha, is a squad mate of mine, another countryman, BV man, Leland Lucas. Leland 9528 Lucas is celebrating shortly. I tell you, Yolanda is here. She said thank you for the greetings and so on. The tank don't care work. You got to let us know where the sport there. That tank just come and just thanks. You got to tell you where the sport there. And you can't combine it with Thanksgiving. You got to be a separate shindig. So, yeah. So tomorrow, I think it is shortly, Leland Lucas, 9528, my squad mate. And then also, it's also the birth coming up is Robert Austin. I think Robert Austin joined in the course immediately after mine. Mine was course 74. I think he came in course 75. I think his number was 9571. If my memory serves me correct, he would have been the first person or the most senior person in that squad, course 75. That is my memory. That is my recollection. And I learned that there's also a student, Noel Marshall. A student, no, he wasn't a member, I don't think, but he is a regular in the program, and he is going to be observing the birth anniversary recently, shortly too. He's going to be observing a birth anniversary shortly. So I want to extend happy birthday greetings to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are going to be celebrating in the near future. Now, what we didn't do, I did not tell you, we talk about the death of those persons. And then before bringing back CC, tragedy again, you understand. I read yesterday where a 9-year-old was killed after some cousin. He had some altercation with a 15-year-old cousin, and it has led that she threw a bicycle on him, complained about pain and so on, taken to the hospital, died. I think the postmortem was conducted. They say he died from a ruptured spleen. Imagine that 9-year-old, some altercation over some bicycle with it, with his, with his cousin, 15-year-old female cousin, and that is what happened. That is what happened. And then we had a report, some other incident, murder again, oh my Lord, where somebody known as Redman, I think it's Micah that happened. Some altercation again, he got chopped and he died. But he chopped, I found it unusual because they say he was chopped his leg. And then probably bled out, some artery or something cut. And we talked about first aid in a previous program. And again, this is a situation. We can't get chap in the foot. I don't know if he would have been saved, but people got to understand the usefulness of first aid. Once a person bleeding, you have to stop the bleeding. You have to stop the bleeding. Do whatever you got to do a tourniquet, do whatever you have to do to stop the bleeding, and that will at least prolong the life until professional assistance is gotten. So, a sad story again, and they understand the man is on the run. The person who is alleged to have done the wounding is on the run, but they said two persons who were there, a female and a male, who were there at the time, they were arrested and are in custody. So I'm not sure what is the level of involvement they would have had in this whole incident. So if you arrest them and they're in custody, it means that they must have had some involvement. They can't be mere witnesses. So we again, every time we come on this program, there are these tragedies to talk about. But before I bring in Mr. Conway, a correction, and thanks to the correction, Austin that I referred to, he was they say he was, I think, 95-73, because Alfred, you're correct, Alfred 95-71 would have been the senior member of that squad. So thanks. I know it's something around there, and the memory goes from time to time. I don't get all the details right. So I'm happy when people here correct me on these things. Let me bring in, first of all, let me say condolences to all the relatives and friends of those persons who have deceased. The ones you mentioned, the policemen, Mr. Fraser, my friend Vic Green, and all those people. And, it's tough, it's tough. But that is the country in which we live. People are going to die. You have a lot of natural deaths and so on. But when a 9-year-old died under such circumstances, we had a 16-year-old. We had so many, in recent times, we've had so many young children drowned in and all this type of thing. Something is definitely wrong. Something is definitely wrong. Let me bring in CC to give his view. Go ahead, CC.
My sympathy to members of the bereaved family, and congratulations those persons who celebrated their birthday or celebrating today. And Paul, I'm going to joke a little bit, because you jump and you land all the greetings and everything, But I can go up on the other side now. I can go and Ingrid Wiltshire. Today is our anniversary. 42 years since she gave birth. And I she had some difficulty with Yolanda. Difficulty with Yolanda. And after she gave birth, she done there. She closed shop. She ain't making no other picnic. But understand Yolanda has done well, and she's taking good care of her mother. So Ingrid, happy anniversary, 42nd anniversary. When you close shop, you say there's enough. I had too much a problem. That is enough. I done there. But you made an excellent daughter, and I think she's really treating you good too.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm sure you want to express condolences to the persons who, the relatives of those persons. Now, let me say this. Commissioner Cole, I saw the thing. I didn't read the details, but I saw where a child died at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation because they're claiming some botched kidney transplant, some botched procedure, and the child died. It's there in the paper. I did not get all the details and so on. Yeah, so Ingrid is saying thanks, CC. And so Ingrid is saying thanks as well. And somebody reminded me, I love the students, Somebody reminded me that I didn't tell you all the get the countdown on the days. Sergeant Alex Vaughan is 621 days today. 621 days today. Since Sergeant Vaughan, Alex Vaughan, was shot and killed, right? And apart from the initial report, we haven't heard anything further from the police. But I hope that the Minister of Home Affairs would have requested a briefing on this whole matter. I hope that the new Minister of Home Affairs would have requested a briefing, and if the minister was briefed, then in the talk about transparency, then you have to let the public, let the family members know exactly what is the current position. Well, a man, police sergeant shot and killed on duty 621 days ago, and they're silent. Can't expect Ikin to say anything because Ikin is mic shy. Can't talk to the mic, right? He's frightened to face the media and so on. And therefore, the minister, at least if you don't want him to face the mic, they should give a release through the public cooperation, the police, public, the propaganda unit. Let us tell people what is going on, man. It is unacceptable that a police sergeant or any policeman can be killed 621 days ago, and you're hearing nothing for that. Yeah, Adriana Young thing, our story was buried with her. Our story was buried with her. Similar to the sergeant, the Lance Corporal who was killed at Villeneuve by the businessman. Those things are over and done with, right? So let me again, moving on. Let me tell you this. Let me pull up the notes. The cricket, man. Oh Lord, Sean and Jakey and so on. We had the cricket. India versus South Africa, second test match. I had a discussion with a cricket lover friend. He lives in the States, and he was a little concerned that the South African batted on so long. I said, well, that's an excellent strategy. I said, first of all, you are one up in a 2-test series, so you know the pressure is not on you to win. You want to make sure that you put it beyond the reach of the opposition. Beyond the reach. And this is exactly what South Africa did. Put it beyond. And I told him, I said, watch, given how things are going, right? India lost 2 wickets, the openers, on the end of the 4th day. I said, they can't bat out the 5th day. They would not be able to bat out the 5th day. And so said, so done. They were bowled out. They suffered the largest margin of victory in the history of cricket, India playing cricket. Largest margin, take 400 and something. They win the last way 400 and something. But you know, the thing about that, and I'm sure CC, a cricket fan, and them can agree with me. The thing about Indian cricket is that with something like that, this is a series, the last whitewash at home, 2-0. The previous series against New Zealand, whitewash, 3-0. Heads are going to roll. Heads are going to roll. I already heard the talking when they take off the coach Gambhir, and they're talking about VVS Lachman. So you got to be accountable in them places. You get all the resources and so on. You have to be held accountable. You have to be held accountable. So yeah, we had the cricket, and nice to know that we had that. Before I bring in CC, let me remind you all, tomorrow in the Thanksgiving Day, the 27th of November in 2025, Thanksgiving Day is tomorrow. Some people call it Turkey Day. Turkey Day is one of the biggest holidays, I think, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. But I know Thanksgiving is a massive, massive holiday in the U.S. And then on Friday is what you call Black Friday. But Guyana get left because they get Thanksgiving tomorrow in Guyana and Good Black Friday on Friday, on Cyber Monday, on Monday. They ain't taking left. They're not taking left. So, as we said, Turkey Day, I told you all the other day, tomorrow I just control, Thanksgiving Day, I just control the kitchen, control the galley, right? Menu, fried rice, Arnold. For those of you who don't eat pork, shut your ears. Arnold, in fine style, bake, ham, right? Salad, and the works, man, the works. All I want while I'm doing the thing is to get me toops to keep the spirit going and play some parang in the background and so on. So I implore all of you in the States observing and celebrating Thanksgiving to be safe. Be safe. You know, there'll be madness on the roads in the US. If you want to drive to go anywhere, it ain't easy. It ain't easy. So make sure that you do it and that you are safe. Let me bring in CC, and then we're going to move on. CC, the cricket and Thanksgiving. Go ahead, my brother.
Well, as you mentioned, heads gonna roll. You better believe it. 3-0 against New Zealand, 2-0 against South Africa. Watch out. But they get fighting spirit. They will come back. They're not like the West Indies, sink at the bottom there and you're not coming up, And all those who going to celebrate Thanksgiving tomorrow, I hope you enjoy it. As I said on this previous program, I had a couple Thanksgiving get caught up in the Thanksgiving traffic, not moving. And then people will say you don't ask the turkey to vote for Thanksgiving. Can you vote for that? Don't ask the turkey to vote for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. Now, in terms of moving on, um, they we had so many issues over the past weeks and so on that some things has get sidelined. And if you recall, there was this big thing, big fuss that's what happened, big fuss about some police officer who they claim as a inappropriate relationship with some staff member. The husband get involved and some big thing and so on. And then Leroy Smith wrote to say that the person he believed, well, he said he's a deputy commissioner. He didn't call name, but then we did through a process of elimination. We said there are only 5. And we are wondering who is the person from that 5. That seems to have died a natural death. You ain't hear nothing about it about almost a month now. You ain't hear nothing. And that is part of the problem. That is part of it. No transparency. So we learned about this thing because the husband complained. The thing was in detail. Where he pick up your phone some night, pick up the wife phone, and then this inappropriate message and so on. When he find out what's going on, the allegation is she's alleging that the senior officer is blackmailing her into this inappropriate relationship. We didn't hear nothing more about it. And I had given y'all some homework to do an investigation to find out who this person might be. Because as we told you, and you may know, there are 5 deputy commissioners. McBean, Blanham, the crime chief, Budram, the man at admin, Watts, the man at operations, and Karimbash, the man at Suku. 5. So based on what Big Smith is saying, it's one of the 5. One of the 5, but we ain't hearing nothing. We don't even know if an investigation is going on. Because I know the minister made a statement, right, that any such relationship is inappropriate and may even violate the Sexual Offences Act. So she's saying that if indeed there is such a relationship, then it's criminal. That is what she's saying, that it is criminal. That is what the minister said. The minister is quoted in the media saying that any relationship, because of the power differentiation or the power differential, a senior man, Big Sister Deputy Commissioner, and some junior rank, I don't know how junior, right? She said, under the Sexual Offences Act, that behavior can be considered criminal. We're not hearing anything more about that. We learned too about the big, nasty, stinking scandal at the police training facility, where it is alleged that recruits, female and male recruits, are involved in inappropriate sexual activities to get pass and to get, when I say pass, people who are not police might not understand, it's to get time off, a couple hours in the afternoon. That's what we call pass. All kind of thing. They said that an officer and I think 3 or 4 sergeants were transferred. And this matter was being investigated by the Office of Professional Responsibility. Nothing further. Nothing further. And I understand that the activities are ongoing. These inappropriate activities, because they had banned them from taking their cars into the compound, because I understand as to use the language, them by saying when they put the car in there, they used to stash the females and take them out. They even allege that a senior officer used to pull up when they done the check, collect a package, they say, go and bring them back in the morning. That is what has happened to that investigation. These things demoralize the honest, hardworking members of the force. They turn the public off, because when these things are happen and they appear to to be no accountability, what you expect? Region 1, there was a big splash with the commander and some secretary, where it is alleged that the commander had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a young female who had gone there. It is alleged that the wife found out, the commander's wife found out, and make a big scene over it, right? Big scene, and instructed, that is what is alleged, that she be removed from there. That is this young female recruit. She was transferred to a location where there was no female facility. You understand? She did not go. Then, in a follow-up to that, and she made an attempt to travel to Georgetown to complain or to travel to Georgetown. She was prevented from boarding the flight to come to town. Prevented till she had permission to travel. And we understand she made her way by boat or whatever means. She came to town. We hear nothing more about that. The same Region 1, we heard about this inappropriate relationship with a corporal and a 15-year-old. We show you the picture. We hear nothing because they said that when the people from the welfare department went there, the mother refused to have the child examined and all of that. And we asked the question, can the mother be allowed to do something like that? Yes, it's our child. But if the child is being abused and the child being involved, a 15-year-old being involved with a matured male, that is, the mother has apparently no control over the child. But we know what happened. The welfare department, we don't know what happened with that matter. Only recently, I've been sometime over the weekend, last week over the weekend, we heard that there's a checkpoint, Carquote checkpoint, and an allegation is made that foreign women, either Brazilian or Venezuelan, when they come in through, there's a particular corporal. It's on social media. His name is there, his picture there. It is alleged that he would detain them for whatever reason, and then he sexually assaults them overnight, and then put them on the bus or the transportation the next day to catch their distance. And one that perhaps beats all, again on social media, it has been reported that some 19-year-old constable in the Region 9 area has a relationship with a 30-year-old woman from the same area. Nothing wrong with that. But the real allegation is that he is sexually abusing the 15-year-old daughter of this 30-year-old person with whom he had this relationship, to the point where the 14-year-old daughter is said to be pregnant. Well, it's for him, but it's pregnant. And more than that, they're claiming that the woman also has an 11-year-old who is also being sexually abused. These things are on social media. I would believe that the police would have been monitoring. Because if it's something that amongst the cybercrime, they're going to jump and charge you, They're monitoring to charge you. Something like that. Those things require proper investigation. At least, let me tell this to the minister. Let me say this to the commissioner. Let me say this to the propaganda unit. At least come out with a statement to say that this is not true. But when these allegations are made and then there is silence, people are led to believe that there's some truth in it. Names are mentioned, names. I am not going to call the names here on this program, but the names of the alleged perpetrators are mentioned, the rank and everything. So it shouldn't be difficult to investigate matters like this, and at least let the public know, look, this is not true, or something. Let the public come out with a statement. We talk about transparency. Come out with a statement, but they are silent. And if you are silent when such serious allegations are made, one is left to believe that there is some truth to the allegation. That is what, some truth to it. A 19-year-old policeman live home, they say with a 30-year-old. Nothing wrong with him living over the 30-year. But they say that the lady's 14-year-old is pregnant, and they are basically insinuating that is he having a sexual relationship. And then the 11-year-old as well. My God, you tell me them thing and require some urgent intervention by the Ministry of Social Welfare and all these people, and let us know what is going on. Let the public has a right to know what is going on. All of these things, and they're trying to encourage people to join the force. People are not going to join. At least the right thinking people are not going to join. The force is scandal prone. And hiding it down and covering it down makes matters worse because people believe that they can do whatever they want to do and get away with it. So you're talking about an allegation, inappropriate relationship with a deputy commissioner. You're talking about an inappropriate relationship with a divisional commander. And you're talking about inappropriate relationship with people who are responsible for training the recruits at the training institution. You're talking about inappropriate relationship now in the Region 9 area with the police said to be abusing. But there's criminal, because if he is having sexual relationship with a 14-year-old and an 11-year-old, that is rape. That is statutory rape. The same thing with the one in Region 1. You're not hearing anything more. Let me bring in CC for him to have his say on this, man. CC, the worrying thing is that there's no follow-up on these allegations. And I've said at least they should come and tell the public these things are not true because they have investigated. And the issue is, because of lack of credibility, even if they were to come now and say, well, it's not true, we're not going to believe them. Go ahead, my brother.
There's no follow-up. And as a result, the sexual activities are going on whole scale. The college, endless activities, instructors, trainees. I understand they had transferred a deputy superintendent to West Demerara. There's transfer an inspector to C Division. And they transfer, I think, 9 corporals and sergeants to TSU and elsewhere. And I saw an entry in the diary, the training diary there, where on the instructions of an officer, a female trainee was given a weekend pass to go and have an abortion. Go and straighten yourself and come back. I repeat, on instructions of an officer at the training institution, a female was sent home to go and get an abortion and come back. It's in writing, it's in black and white. Now that attack, the diary might disappear, but I have an extract. I have an extract of the diary. And what's going on in the Northwest in region number 1? They flew in 3 people to do investigation. I know they're still in there. And then we had the epicenter of cocaine smuggling. Senior superintendents are fingered. Perhaps they're going to do like what they do with Mandel. Just when you're going to hear, he come back into play. And they're not doing things to be credible, you know. Let the public know what's going on. Don't mind how bitter the pill is. Take it. I remember in my days growing up as a little boy, little school boy, that during the August time, your grandmother used to give you cascara and all kind of thing for drink. So you gotta get a clean up. You gotta get a clean up before you go back to school. I think they need to shut down that training institution for a while and get a board of inquiry to deal with it. Because you're dealing with it with people's children. Shut it down for a couple of weeks and don't put OPR for investigate. And what OPR doing? OPR breaching the Police Discipline Act. Because according to the Act, say, every alleged commission of a breach of discipline shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of a sergeant and of a higher rank than the rank who is alleged to have committed the offense. Offenses under the Discipline Act, OPR gets sergeants investigating inspectors investigating officers. They get corporals investigating sergeants and all kind of thing there. So, you know, it's total breaches. And then they're not dealing with the thing. What's happening in Region 1? With the commando, with the star by this corporal, who the allegations are getting relationship with a 15-year-old, which is rape. Done. We heard you, Paul. You mentioned about the female who this had a relationship with the commander. His wife found out, say, move she got a transfer, they sent you to Port Kaitumu where she ain't get no place to stay, she ain't go. And they stops your salary. But Bodram came into play, deputy commission playing, say, hey, this is nonsense. Let the lady get her money when they won't come, So many irregularities, sexually and criminally, and they're not doing anything out there. OPR investigating and nothing more, Paul.
Well, thanks to that, but when you talk about the Region 1, apart from the allegations of sexual misconduct on behalf of the commander and or by the commander and the corporal, don't forget they had told us that the SOKU went into the police finance office and seized documents to pursue an investigation into financial irregularities. They call it fraud in Region 1. And they sent in 3. We know the names and everything of those 3 persons. The flight that they went in there to. They went into Region 1 to continue the investigation. Mabaroom, I think it was, they went. And then they were instructed to stand down. They were instructed to stand down. So that investigation perhaps has stalled. And we understand that the reason why they do that, because if a proper investigation is done, others, senior people, are going to be incriminated. They are going to be held responsible. Because I have said on this program repeatedly, in reference to the Calvin Buttas case, how is it that all those checks could have been written to Calvin Buttas from the police welfare department and the police consumers? How these things could have been done without the complicity of the people in charge of those areas, the finance officer and the person in charge of the police, the consumer co-op. I may have said credit. Consumer co-op. How come? So maybe that is why these investigations are shut down. Maybe that is why you talk about a senior police officer, Emnat Shah, sanctioned by the U.S. government as a drug trafficker. Let that sink in. A senior serving police officer is sanctioned along with others because the U.S. claims that he is a drug trafficker. And what have they done? They put him on administrative leave. And they're waiting. Because what happened now, as we have seen with the Mohammed case, the government outsourcing these investigations to the U.S. So unless and until the U.S. Takes action in those matters, it don't look like nothing can happen locally. Doesn't look as if anything will happen locally. And when you talk about Mandal, I saw an article over the weekend from, I think it's Travis Chase, talking about his reinstated. Quietly, they're sleeping. And we mentioned it there on this program, that quietly, but all of that is unconstitutional and illegal because Mandal could have only been sent on administrative leave by the Police Service Commission. The Police Service Commission. Tell him you want to see the case that talks about that is Moti Duki versus the Attorney General and David Ramnarayan. And Justice Corbyn ruled in that matter. I have the ruling someplace that only the Police Service Commission can do that. The Police Service Commission life ended, I think it was May the 30th or something this year. They were sworn in 2022. The Constitution says that your life is for 3 years. 3 years. And it's so they would have gotten, let me say this, because I understand they're also in the same other thing that the fifth member, Maniram Prasad, was sworn in as the chairman of the Public Service Commission sometime much later. But that has nothing to do with the life of that commission because it would have been the instrument that would have been issued to Finley and others, Mark Conway, Akeem Mohammed, and Chuafat. They would have gotten an instrument, and there's no way on God's green earth that an instrument would have been issued to them on the 30th or the 31st of May, I think it was 31st, and it would have a forward date. So in other words, you can't issue an instrument to them and have them sworn in on the 31st of May, I think it was, 2022, with a date showing that the life starts in 2023. So I don't know what nonsense they're telling people. Yeah, it can be backdated, I suspect. That if you're sworn in May, you could say, well, look, the life started in February, January, before. But it is when, according to the Constitution, the life starts from the date of the instrument. And the 3 years start from then, and it is automatic. Once the 3 years done, the life done. There's no need for the president to write anything or anybody to write anything. The life is ended, right? So the life ended, and then they get this bishop. That is the artful thing. A man who is supposed to be a man of God, involved in all of these ungodly and dishonest acts, right? Ungodly, dishonest acts. So they reinstate Mandel. That is what they claim. I would love to see the letter where they reinstate, where the sign he has, right? So if you reinstate, what happened to Emnat you're waiting to? And I said on the program here before, I never advocate, as some people are doing, that Mandel should be sent home and take a natural justice. We all saw, the whole world saw him misleading the people about the Adriana Young case. And therefore, under the police, under this constitution, he should have been disciplined. Just like how they set up a tribal union to dismiss Brutus, perhaps a tribunal should have been set up to inquire into the conduct of that senior police officer. But no. So he's been out there for parking up for about 5-6 months. Bring him back. And don't forget, you get the early pay, I show you lose a cent. Including traveling allowance, which he would not have been entitled to when he was sent on administrative leave. I sure he get that. I sure he got all of that. So taxpayers' money, all the money he get. Right? And then what happened? He comes back now. And then they put him as second in command of operations. And again, I invite the police in particular to look at the what they call the scalar chain to see how the power is distributed. Because the chain will show the commissioner at the top. Under the commissioner, you'll have the deputy commissioners. So it will show the deputy commissioner's report directly to the commissioner. Then under operations, you would have had a limb coming down showing you 2 IC operations. That is the post that Mandel now operates. And under 2 IC operations, you will have all the divisional commanders. So they report to Deputy Commissioner Operations through Assistant Commissioner Operations. All the divisional commanders, Mounted Branch, TSU, the Force Control, the Communication Branch, they all report, the Transport Workshop, all report. So the man is put in a very powerful position now. So in essence, he is reinstated with a promotion. That is what it means. I let them come and dispute that. But that is what you have. That is what we have. And you want to talk about, and again, I say, I hope that the minister is looking into all of these things. I don't think the minister is properly briefed. I don't think the minister is properly served, right? Because the government put Robeson Ben as a senior advisor to the minister. I said, that is bare joke. Robeson Ben was there as the Minister of Home Affairs. Following the return of this government, they chose to remove him from that position. And I argue that if they had felt that he was competent, they would not have removed him. So they moved him out of the ministry. But then they put him there to advise the minister on what? Robeson Ben has been a failure as Minister of Home Affairs. A spectacular failure. Telling people to shoot and scoot, directing fire officers to put the hose of the source of the fire, telling firemen, telling people who get illegal fire to put it in the bag and throw it in the yard. The man has been a failure and you get here as advisor. Advise what? I hope that the minister ain't listening to you. Right? I hope that the new minister is not listening to Robeson Ben, because Robeson Ben ain't get no background of success in anything. So that, and when we talk about all of these matters, sometimes they jump out. Look, Linden, we had a story at Linden where Peters was killed, a policeman, Sergeant Kendall charged. And next man was killed, Fortuné. I think it's Keon Fortuné. You know nothing about the investigation. This is earlier. They say police shoot and kill you. You know nothing. CID. Blanham said, oh, we're not investigating that. Imagine a murder. Or let me put it mildly. A man who died under those circumstances, and the crime chief said they are investigating them. Right? You had that. You had the Maikoni incident where those two men were shot and killed. You hear nothing. More recently, they told us about a robbery. They claimed that that policeman robbed the Chinese national when he came out of the casino with his winnings. We're not hearing anything further from that. But I understand that the inspector was involved, was charged. The sergeant who was involved was also charged. But the sergeant still on the job. The sergeant still live out. I saw recently, I think over the weekend, where they claim that some policeman charged with armed robbery or ex-policeman charged with armed robbery, which is good. But apparently this thing is not across the board. Some have been made public, some are not being made public. It erodes the confidence, whatever little confidence people still have in the force. These type of actions or non-action erodes all of that. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to have his say on that. Yeah, CC.
I agree with you, it erodes public confidence, whatever little that they have there. They're not facing facts. They're not fair to the public. If you want the public to assist you, you've got to be fair for them. You've got to be accountable. But no, Paul, no. They just do anything. Anything happen, OPR investigating, this investigating, and it done. And a serious matter that denting the public confidence in the Guyana police force. I hope that there be a change somewhere along the line.
Yeah, let's hope so. Because if you want to talk about the restoration of confidence, I think the statements they are making, even though they're not coming out plainly to tell you, implying that they recognize that the public trust in the force has diminished or disappeared or is disappearing. Let me give them that, is disappeared. And therefore, they need to do something about it. Minister says that you talk about leadership, and they are the ones who need to show leadership in this matter. Because Guyana cannot afford to have a police force that is as dysfunctional as this one. And it has to do with management of the organization. It has to do with the management of the organization. And no right-thinking person can deny that the force is dysfunctional. So many allegations, and I said, and they will jump out and tell you, oh, police are always corrupt and all this other thing. I don't disagree with that. There have always been allegations of police inappropriate behavior. But it's the way how those matters were dealt with. Policemen will tell you, the older policemen will tell you. You have some men back in the day, right? You don't want to either community division to start doing an investigation because you know a proper investigation is going to be done and the chips will fall where they may. Whoever get trouble will get trouble. But now it's cover up after cover up after cover up. And that is causing problem because people see that and therefore they believe, first of all, the public lose confidence in the force, and then they believe that other people, the dishonest ones, they could continue to operate with impunity. Nothing can happen. Nothing can happen, so why stop? Right? That is part of the problem that we have. Now, there's a matter that we have not been able to discuss in a long while, and I think we should mention it now. Some time ago, the president made an announcement that they are looking to award medals to members of the Guyana Defense Force, new medals, right? So, right now they get military service medal, they get the MSM, and they get the other medals that are awarded to the members of the GDF. But what happened to the police? Police were awarded medals too. They were awarded long service and good conduct, right? They were awarded border efficiency medal or border medal. Then they were awarded efficiency medal. And we had one man way back when, long before my time, the record show was awarded the George Medal, Luknath Singh, for bravery. I think this boy might have been awarded that medal too, Richard Feikel, following that Essequibo bank robbery. But what happened to the medals? Even at the national level, you hear anything? Long service and good conduct, right? I remember as a little recruit, I was a consul, force medal parade at the TSU Square. They used to come for rehearsal and so on. And the other man, the older police might remember him. He was chief inspector at the time. And we used to get good laugh as young, worthless constables at the TSU. I know if Toro been there then. So when I make the announcements during the rehearsal, for long service and good conduct, Chief Inspector Robert Hampden Ains. And the man couldn't drill. The man had a little jumpy. We used to kill. We used to dead with laugh. I remember that well. That would have been around 1974, 75 time. Right? Because by 76, I was a corporal already. So it got to be 74, 75. Most likely 75. For long service and good conduct. And what was the criteria? You have to have 15 years service in the force. Of course, that is the length of the service, the minimum length. And you have to have good conduct. So when policemen in them days, you get enough service and you get conduct. That is why you get the service, but you don't get the conduct. That is what we used to teach them. You have the service, but you don't have the conduct. 15 years. And during that time, you have to have a clean record. And also, you could not have attained gazetted officer's rank. So again, 15 years or more, that's the length of the service, the minimum length. You then have to have a clean record, in other words, no charge sheet, and you have to have good conduct, as the medal suggests. And you could not have been an officer, because if you reach the rank of cadet officer or assistant superintendent within that 15 years period, you are not eligible for long service and good conduct. That thing created a big debate. The man who led the debate was Henry Green, my squad mate, the late former commissioner Henry Green. Because Henry Green complained bitterly that you went to these parades and so on, and all they used to say, all the little soldier by get medal on the chest, and you ain't get nothing. But then when you look at the thing, I was part of the committee. You could not, because Henry Green became a cadet officer, he joined in 74 with me, and at the end of 76, he got 78, I think, the town cadet officer, so well within the 15-year period. And then we made a proposal that in that case, officers should be given efficiency medal. The efficiency medal. When we sat and we discussed this thing, the efficiency medal was intended to be awarded to persons with long service and good conduct, 15 years, but less than, but they had reached officer rank. So they couldn't get the long service and good conduct. So we said efficiency medal. And then the whole thing got corrupted. Where they decide everybody, they're giving people efficiency medal, even though they would not have been qualified for the efficiency medal based on the criteria that we set. Thing became corrupted. Green was the commissioner then. Then we also spoke about the tactical efficiency medal. And the tactical efficiency medal was to be awarded to people who were involved in them operations during the fine man and the boxing time. Those persons only, for that period only. For that period only, tactical efficiency medal. And again, that was corrupted, where even people, I remember one man, I don't call his name, but one man was actually wounded during operation, and he wasn't awarded the medal. He was not awarded the medal. And many others, including myself, he weren't awarded because the thing got corrupted. And then you have the border medal. Well, the border medal is supposed to be, I think, it's a senior, not only the policemen, but even soldiers. If you were stationed in certain border locations, Etterimbang, Ikeriku, Kaikan, and those places, for a specific period of time, and the service was accumulated, you are entitled to border medal, especially now that you get this Venezuelan story and thing. Give the people them the medal, man. Get a parade and award them the medal. Yes, you're talking about new medals to the GDF, and I ain't begrudging them that, but you have things that have already been established. We used to get a medal parade where all people, you go through it, long service, good conduct, right? Border medal. In those days, it was long service and good conduct and border. Then much later, you had the efficiency and the tactical efficiency medal. So I would hope that the police, I don't know if the police are making recommendations for that. You got a situation if you come even further, even at the national level. Long ago, every Republic anniversary and so on, here awards being made about people who get CCH and Medal of Service and all, you show everything. Sugar workers, people who contributed to the society. But when last have you heard this government issuing or giving out them type of national award? I got mine in 1998. Janet was president when I got my DSM, Discipline Service Medal. I don't know how many they've had since then. But that's supposed those are some of the things if you want to motivate people in uniform and in the country and so on. You got to look at them things. Nobody call you you're storing your cash, you cook up and your additional food. Those things are maybe good for a PR perspective for photo ops, but you get things that are more fundamental that should be looked at. Let me bring in CC. I know that he would want to say something about this medal story. CC?
Yeah, it's high time they started to give people the medals. I read the other day, I think the president gave out some medal to the army. But what happened to the police? What happened to the men on the border at Etterangbang, at Ikeriku, at Kaikan, at Purimo, at Morowano, at other places? What has happened to them? And it's 2 years. As long as you serve 2 years, and it could be accumulated. 2 years at a certain border location, you are entitled for your medal. I didn't get long service and good conduct medal because although I had long service and I had good conduct, but I didn't get any. Because as Paul hinted, in 73 I joined the police force, and in 85 I became a conform assistant superintendent. Devora. I didn't get any medal, so you don't turn an officer, so you can't get long service and good conduct. It's a kind of like a motivating thing, Give the people them the medal. When last you had a medal parade? When last you got a medal parade? Yeah? I see the president the other day honoring members of the joint services for outstanding work done during election. What outstanding work they do during elections? Look at the bigger picture. Give them the awards. Give them the medals. They want the medals. And more so with this Venezuelan story. Those people on the border. Perhaps you could even amend the rules to give them earlier than 2 years. We have men on the border who qualify for medals, but they ain't getting on. Years upon years upon years upon years, they ain't getting on. Yeah? Over maybe over 15 years, 15, 20 years since they had the last medal presentation, and they need to look at it. It's a kind of a motivation, And then when you go on parade, you see them GDF full up with medals, and the police ain't get none. So we playing. Give the police them their medal, particularly border medals.
Right. You got to get a medal, man. And a question has been asked here: if a police officer attend a cadet course and is awarded a medal from the army, can he wear that medal in police uniform while on actual duty? I don't know what type of medal. What type of medal you're talking about? What type of medal? We got to make a distinction between medal and awards. You might be given some award. I don't know that you can wear, but any medal. Let me understand this. Any medal that is awarded to any member of the force outside of the prescribed long service, good conduct, border medal, MSM, not MSM, DSM for the commissioner, DSS, and those type of medals, right? You can wear it. If you get medal from any other organization or entity or body, you have to seek permission to wear it. When I led the Guyana contingent to the United Nations peacekeeping mission in Namibia, 1989-1990, I was awarded the United Nations Peace Medal, right? And all the other ranks, we were awarded the United Nations Peace Medal. And when I came back, there was a big parade at the Cultural Center Tarmac where President Hoyt spoke to us and so on. And I had to seek permission from the Guyana Police Force to wear the medal ribbon on my working dress and to wear the medal on the ceremonial occasions and so on. So you have to get permission. But you see, all of these things have gone through the window. I see officers and other ranks with dark shades. And do you know that the regulation still requires you to get permission from the administration to wear spectacles, prescribed spectacles? I am not saying maybe you have moved on from those things, but change the rules, change the standing order. Don't just get people violating what is there, and then selectively they're going to try to discipline people from that. If you believe that the times have changed and you need to amend these things, then amend it. By all means, amend it and let it be known that this is what it is. But this haphazard, willy-nilly arrangement cannot work if you're talking about a professional organization. You have to get permission to wear those things. Apart from your married ring, you gotta get permission to wear a ring and all them. And I see everybody now, especially in uniform. Especially in uniform. But all kind of thing happening. And again, that is what has led to the breakdown in discipline. And let me say this again, because they're going to jump up and say, oh, this old man, this geriatric want bring back them things. I want to bring back nothing. I'm saying that if you sit down and you believe that these things are to be changed, then change it in the prescribed and proper manner. Now, no haphazard, willy-nilly arrangement. Adjust the orders and say, well, this is what it is, right? If women now got to wear them big fancy hairdo and all this type of thing, and you believe that is appropriate, change it. Can somebody tell me now some women get them big fancy hairdo so that the uniform cap can't even fit on their head. So when you see a lot of police, women in particular, walking around, no address in the public, look at the hairstyle. Look at the hairstyle. They can't wear the cap because they got some big set of braiding and all. Braiding. I am saying that if you decide that is the way to go, say that is the way to go, and make sure that the regulations are changed, the standing orders are changed to accommodate that. That is what I am saying. Right? That is what. But you can't have an organization supposed to be a disciplined organization like the police force with all of these haphazard arrangements. It's a recipe for disaster. And that is what we're seeing. The old discipline has broken down because of these things. Now let me move on. When we talk about community relationship, and we talk about the need to get the community behind the police and all this type of thing. The minister, the new minister, let me say, the minister made a statement recently. I'm gonna read the whole thing about community policing, right? And having read what the minister is reported to have said, I can only conclude that the minister is misguided about what community policing really is. The minister is misguided as to what community policing is. And let me tell you my background into community policing arrangement. When I attended the FBI Academy in 1998, course 193, I was doing the research recently and I saw the program with my name and the course number and the whole program I saw. Sorry, 193, course 193, FBI Academy course. I did a course in community policing, or they call it community-oriented policing, COP, C-O-P, community-oriented policing. Because in the 80s and 90s, that was a thing in the United States. All the forces, right? Community policing. And what happened? Because then the federal government gave money, gave a subvention to these forces to employ this community-oriented policing methodology or the concept. And they found it was extremely successful. So all the forces used to go on. Some will argue that the forces used to go on to get the extra money, but it proved to be very successful. And what it is all about, it's a philosophy where the police integrates with the community to solve problems, right? Police and the community get together, solve problems. So you had what they call a community-oriented policing officer. Now, no desk like the minister is suggesting. An officer, one or more officer in every station, in every district, is designated as a community-oriented. So what was the role of that person? The role of that person was to interact with the leaders in that community. They interacted with the leaders and to identify problems and to assist in crime solving, problem solving, not only crime solving, problem solving. That is what it was all about. Let me play a short video before I go in forward into this matter. Let me show you, let me play a short video for you to get a better understanding. Where is it? I saw it, here it is. It's just about a minute and a half long, so listen to it.
When cops and communities come together to share the responsibility of community policing, everyone wins. Many police issues stem from social problems, not crime. Without strong partnerships between police and communities, tensions will grow. Community policing bridges the us versus them gap by involving citizens in understanding police policies and encouraging shared responsibility for public safety. When communities and officers work together, solutions become more tailored and trust grows. The DOJ's COPS office defines community policing through community partnerships, organizational transformation, problem solving. Instead of handling every issue, police should partner with experts and community members, acting as a link rather than the main problem solver. Law enforcement must build trust by understanding community concerns like excessive force or lack of transparency. A shared vision starts with mutual understanding and open communication. Communities should take the lead in preventing and solving crime. Police should support, not dominate, by empowering locals to co-produce safety. Trust grows when communities see transparency. Citizens' academies or volunteer initiatives promote open dialogue and deeper trust. Police must see themselves as community partners, not just law enforcers. Shared efforts reduce crime, improve officer well-being, and build stronger communities.
I'm recommending that to the minister and all of them. You see, that is what community policing is all about. That is what community policing is all about. Shared responsibility. You work together with the community to identify problems and to deal with it. That is what it's all about. And let me read something more about it. Then I'm going to tell you what the minister views community policing. It says, as community policing or community-oriented policing is a philosophy, is a policing philosophy that fosters cooperation and integration between law enforcement and the public to improve safety and trust. It involves three core components: partnership with the community, a problem-solving approach to address issues, and organizational transformation within the police department to support these efforts. This approach shifts the focus from reactive, incident-based policing to a proactive strategy that includes community engagement, crime prevention, and addressing underlying social and environmental cause of crime. Then this video show you how it works. Then what's a community? They say the key components. Community partnership. Police and community members work together as partners to solve problems. This includes initiatives like community meetings, presentations, and programs that encourage citizens to engage with law enforcement. Problem solving. Law enforcement identifies and addresses the underlying causes of crime, not just the symptoms. This involves a proactive approach that uses data and community input to find effective long-term solutions. Organizational transformation. Police agencies reorient their structure and management to support community policing goals. This can involve decentralizing commands, increasing officers' autonomy, and empowering frontline officers. How that works? Officers get to know the community by walking beats and spending time in the neighborhood rather than just driving through in a patrol car. Police create substations or storefronts in local areas to be more accessible to residents. They work with other agencies and organizations on issues like youth programs, public safety awareness, and addressing social issues that contribute to crime. Measures of success are broadened beyond traditional metrics like arrests to include community satisfaction and improve quality of life. Oh my God. When you look at what it is, I mean, we have been talking about this a long time. to go around in the community and to say community interaction, you walk around, you talk to two people and so on. That is not the end. That is not the end. Should be part of it. But there's all they do for, and bear in mind, when you see what is presented to us, pictures are plastered on social media, which means that they're going for photo opportunities. So they walk around, somebody there with a camera, somebody from the public relations unit, they flash two pictures, put it. We had interaction with the community. They do the same thing, or we had lectures to drivers. It's all about photo opportunity. It's all about photo opportunity. And hear what the minister says. I'm going to read what the minister, and then I'm going to bring in CC. But let me read what the minister is reported to have said. Community policing desk to be established at all police stations, says Minister Waldron. Minister of Affairs on Age Waldron has announced that every police station across Guyana will soon feature a community policing desk as part of the broader initiative to promote, quote, less force and more engagement, end of quote, in law enforcement. In an exclusive interview with Newsroom, Minister Waldron explained that while a system of community policing already exists, many of these groups have become inactive over time. Steps are now being taken to revive and strengthen them, integrating their efforts into a core or active policing. Quote, it is sort of not as vibrant. Some groups have died, but those community policing groups are going to be integrated into active policing, end of quote, she stated. The philosophy is to, quote again, the philosophy is to use community policing groups as far as practical, as opposed to uniform ranks with the use of force in domestic situation, end of quote. Mr. Walden emphasized the importance of community-level interventions, particularly in remote regions where police presence may be limited and the distance between communities and police stations are substantial. Quote again, if a person is feeling threatened, there's a community policing officer right there in the community with powers to enforce and intervene, end of quote, she said. The minister noted that the integration will be comprehensive, with every police station now required to have a community policing desk and designated space for community policing officers. Quote, that is how they are going to be so much a part of the active policing, end of quote, she added. Waldron highlighted that people are more likely to trust officers who come from their own communities rather than those posted from outside. This approach has already shown positive results in hinterland regions, where local officers are successfully helping to diffuse conflicts and enhance safety. Quote, we are already seeing in the hinterland region where interventions are being made. That is the philosophy we are using. Less force and more engagement, end of quote, she said. To support this initiative, Waldron has tasked the Deputy Permanent Secretary with reviving inactive community policing groups where necessary, ensuring that community engagement becomes a cornerstone of the country's policing strategy. The move aims to foster stronger relationship between law enforcement and the communities they serve, ultimately enhancing public safety and trust. That is what the minister is reported to have said. We're going to go through it in a short while, but let me bring in CC for him to have his say on this. CC, you heard the tape about community policing. You heard me read what it is all about, and you heard what the statement the minister is alleged to, is reported to have made. Let me hear your comments. I know you have a lot to say, but let me hear you. Go ahead.
Well, let me talk about Sir Robert Peel, considered the father of modern day policing. And he talked about fundamental principles in which police force rests. And one of them is the police should strive to maintain a relationship with the public, which gives reality to the tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. Let me read again. One of the fundamental principles in which the police force rests. So Robert Peel, quote, the police should strive to maintain a relationship with the public that gives reality to the tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. And let me go further to say, no police force in the world could be effective and efficient if there's no public confidence in the police force. If the public can get confidence in the police force, sorry for you, members of the Guyana police force. And I'll tell you something, because you're talking about the public, that the public gets certain God-given natural resources that they will not use. We expect in the relationship with the public that if we treat them the way they are to, if they have the public confidence in things, or if they don't have the public confidence in the police force, you get the public with eyes who will not see. Police don't be around all the time, but people be around there. They get eyes and they will not see. They get ears, they're not hear. They get nose, they're not going to smell. They will get tongues and they will not speak. They get hands and they won't write a note and send it to the police where this going on then. And they get feet and they won't come around by the police. They won't walk and come around by the police there. So the thing is, yes, that you have to get public confidence in the Guyana police force. And they used to call it COPS. They add in a couple of words, COPPS. Community-oriented policing and problem solving. Not only the policing, that you got to be able to solve problems. The police and the problem. COPS, COPPS. And when you want to know about community policing, just you remember that a man named Larry Leland Lewis, who was commissioner of police, that he formed so much different community policing groups. We had community policing groups. We had station management committee. We had impact advisory. We had a whole set of police public interaction, not only solving crime, but solving problems within the community. I don't know how the minister going to operate, and I think she has designated somebody to revive the community policing group. I wonder what happened with the other community policing desk of the Home Affairs. I wonder what happened to it. Now, the thing is that you got to work along with the people. But if they don't have the public confidence in you, like they hear a sergeant 600 and something days killed and no word, that all these things are happening and nothing coming out of the police. They can't. They will not have any public confidence in you. And unless they have public confidence in you, you will not be able to solve any. Police can't do it alone. Police don't know all about the police. Police expect people to see, to hear, to smell, and to talk. Come on, whisper things to you. But unless you treat them a certain way, and unless they have public confidence in you, it will not happen. So all the big talk about community policing this, I don't know how the desk gonna operate. This is where you have a desk there and you're going. I don't know how it operates. They need more explanation how the community policing desk at station will operate. But saying form the groups, form the advisory, the station advisory, the impact advisory, the advisory. In Larry Lewis days, a training board made up of a whole set of civilians that guided it in the training of the Guyana police force. So I'm saying it's community-oriented policing and problem solving. The last two, problem solving, I think they introduced couple of years ago.
Yeah, you're so correct. You know, Larry Lewis was way ahead of his time, right? Way ahead. Yeah, as we said, impact advisory, where members, prominent business community people will come and they will advise on certain issues in the community and so on. Even got to the stage where, believe it or not, the older men remember the vehicles at impact. They had inspections at the TSU Square, and civilian people who were qualified. I remember Mr. Widmer, Yusuf Mangru, and those who will come and be a part of the inspection. You had Mr. Conway referred to the training board. You had training board comprised of people from the university who will advise on training programs. And when candidates were identified to go on overseas training, the training board, you have to be interviewed by the training board and all of these type of things. It was a very progressive way of thinking, not the police doing it all by themselves. And let me say this, Guyana, the community policing arrangement in Guyana is a unique one. It is strayed far from what people understand this community-oriented policing we talk about should be, right? Because what you have in Guyana, you have groups, and the minister alluded to that. You have groups all in them villages and so on. They're doing patrols, they're armed with guns. Some of them are made rural constables, and they're patrolling. That is never what policing was intended to be. And let me say this, and I can't remember which report it was, whether it's the, one of those reports or one of those people who came and did an assessment, criticized the community policing in the form that it was being dealt with in Guyana, men patrolling with guns and all this type of thing. And Minister, let me tell you this, one of the reasons for those groups going down is because many persons joined to get guns. Many persons, business people and others, joined because they wanted to become licensed firearm owners. So when you see the application, they're going to tell you they're a community policing member and they joined with the police to patrol. That is what they wanted to do. And then what happened? As we have said, and we're going to explain, community policing in its true sense is not about people in the villages going around patrolling with guns, right? And if you look to see how that thing had evolved or devolved, whether you want to put it, it became an ethnic thing. That is the reality. Because of ethnic, or let me put it this, because of insecurity by members of the Indian communities, they were more they were more concerned about the safety and formed community policing groups. Check to see how many community policing groups were in black areas. Very little, if any at all. Well, you had a few, but it was out of that consideration for the safety, community policing group. The intention was they give them guns. And then here what happened? All that led to this thing being to the decline. They used to apply for firearms on the basis that, look, I am a member of the community policing group. And a decision was taken during Larry Lewis' time, some of us were there, that now we aren't giving them individual firearm. We will give the firearm to the group. The firearm is going to be lodged at stations and uplifted by the authorized forces, because in order for them to carry the firearms, they have to be made rural constables and go through the proper training. They weren't pleased with that. Man want their own gun home and so on. So when we stood up, said, no, they know what? If you were a licensed firearm owner before, you want to go and patrol with the firearm, fine. But the gun that was assigned to the group is not to no individual carry home, not for no individual to carry it home. And that is what the thing started to wane because of that. They wanted guns. They wanted big thing. We had big executive and all this. The thing, as I've said, was never, it never aligned to what community-oriented policing was all about. It was more, as the report said, I think I can't remember the name of the report, one of those reports. It was a kind of a vigilante arrangement. That is what they said. And then I remember I had to clamp down because then they started to venture out of their village. I had big run-ins with Gadraj and them back in the day as commander. I shut them down. Said, no, if you're going to patrol within your community. Because what they used to do now, they're trying to venture into other villages. And sometimes the villages that they venture into is the village comprised of mainly other ethnic groups. I saw that as a dangerous thing. Right? Dangerous thing. Look, they had a case on the quarantine. They had a case on the quarantine. We're a community policing group from an Indian-dominated village. Went into a nearby village, right? And they end up killing a man. They end up shooting and killing this man. Right? All right. Then investigation go on. The government intervened and so on. They were charged with murder. They were all charged with murder. I think Dennis Anamon Singh was the DPP at the time. They were charged with murder. And then when they had that demonstration at Albion, can't remember the exact year, when they tried to burn down Albion police station, they burned up the magistrate Christian Dat Prasad car. And that would have been, I went to Barbies in 2000. I think that would have been the next year, 2001 or something like that. Right? One of the demands, God, Jagdeo was president. And Jagdeo came there to speak to them because they had big rioting and so on. One man was shot and killed during the rioting. They had big demonstration. Jagdeo came there and he went and he spoke to them at the Albion Sports Complex. Full ground. People turn out. And one of the demands that they made is that those men who were charged with murder, right, should be set free. That is one of the demands that they made. And at the next hearing, at I think it was at Wim Magistrate Court, a particular magistrate decided to set them free. A particular magistrate set them free. And when the report was submitted, a report was submitted to the DPP, and the DPP instructed, as it was permitted then, for them to be rearrested and instructed the magistrate to commit them to stand trial in the High Court. I will never forget that because I discovered that much. When this thing came through at the time, I was on leave. And I did not know that the DPP had so instructed. In 2003, when I had me running with Gadraj and Jagdeo, I was doing some research, and I found that thing from the DPP then. And then I called my detective officer. He does that for the program. He say, hey, go and arrest these men. Go arrest these men. And let me carry them back before the court as instructed or advised by the DPP. One got away and got to Suriname. The others were taken. The magistrate complained. Oh, they're giving you direction. I never forget when I went to by then the DPP had changed. When I went to the DPP, look, Mr. Slow, I don't know where this magistrate got this training from because the Criminal Procedure Act clearly gives the DPP this authority. And I know what come of the matter. And that was a danger. People patrolling with gun, very little training, and that was a danger. So that is what caused all of those things result in the community policing group disappearing. All of those things resulted in, and one of the things you might want to consider too is that perhaps no, more of these people in the villages get gun, they get their own private gun, so they don't need to patrol and so on any longer. They get their own personal firearms because in those days, the firearms were limited in the thing, so they saw the need to patrol. The other desk as CC said, at the Ministry of Home Affairs, community policing desk, headed by Magnum. But what happened? So, Minister, you got to look at this whole community policing thing and forget about this patrol thing you talk about desk and so on. And I'm going to talk something more about it, but let me give Mr. Conway an opportunity to say something now, and then I'm going to come back because this community policing thing is key to dealing with problems and crime in every single community in Guyana, including perhaps problem crime, even traffic, the traffic lawlessness. CC?
I agree with you. It's critical, it's important. Police community relations. As Sir Robert Peel said, to maintain a relationship with the public that gives reality to the tradition that the police are the public and the public are the police. They got to work together. And then at station level too, you gotta be careful because sometimes you get you get some station sergeants and thing who are against community policing, and they used to also for break up groups and all kind of thing. That is where a commander has got to come into play. And Paul, you mentioned about Albion when I had the story there. You didn't mention that despite you had issues with Gadraj, you protected him at Albion.
Yes, yes, of course, that was the duty. Because when he was attacked, he was attacked. When he was attacked the other day, I had to offer him protection. He had a man, me had a man who up on this thing. He's normally here. He don't know if he doesn't like. Well, this took him to the senior staff club at Albion there. Yeah, that was my duty as a commander, right? So I offered him protection. He had gone against the advice because I had advised him not to go out on the public road, but he decided he can play politics. He went on the public road. The meeting was scheduled for the Albion Sport Complex, and we had security arrangements there. But he was misled to go on the public road. So when the people started to throw missiles, so you should see the fat man go through a little gate. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. And let me say something more about this community policing thing, Minister. Then I'm going to analyze a little bit your statement. They say that when we talk about community policing, and I learned this in England at the police staff college. They talk, and maybe you will, well, you're a lawyer, you're a former magistrate and all that. Look at the broken window theory because it goes hand in hand with proper community-oriented policing. The broken window theory. Yeah, share the life, man. Share the life. Share broken window theory. And hear what it says. Broken window policy or broken window policing is a strategy based on the theory that addresses visible signs of disorder, such as a broken window, graffiti, and vandalism. It can prevent more serious crimes from occurring. It involves aggressively enforcing laws against minor offenses like loitering or public drinking to create an atmosphere of order and to reduce overall crime rates. While proponents credit this approach for crime reduction in the cities like New York, critics argue it can disproportionately affect minority communities and has negative consequences for those arrested for low-level infraction. The theory really is visible signs of disorder, like a broken window, suggests a neighborhood lacks authority and is more vulnerable to further crime. The theory suggests that by cracking down on minor offenses, police can prevent the escalation to more serious crimes. This approach relies on the idea that the sense of order and lawfulness deters criminal behavior. Let me stick a pin here. One of the things they always told us in them days, you're walking down the road and the place is clean. See the place clean. The average man is not going to take out a box or a bottle and throw it there, right? Not going to take out a box or a bottle and throw it. The place clean, spick and span. But if you see debris around, he is more likely to add to what is there. So that's part of the theory. And in terms of the window, I always remember, I think it was Jim Carswell at the staff college telling you, you got a building with window panes. If you see one break, you fix the one. And that is not going to attract people to break other windows. But if you see one break and you don't fix it, then people might come, let me try and break the next one. That is the essence of the theory. Fix the minor things and don't allow it to escalate. Instead, the practice focuses on quality of life. That is so important in the Guyanese context. It focuses on quality of life. Crimes such as graffiti, public intoxication, and fare evasion. We ain't get that in Guyana. But things like noise nuisance, animal grazing the road, all of those things, you got to deal with those things. It goes on to say officers are often given quotas of arrest and tickets to maintain a high level of enforcement. But that is controversial because we say, yeah, man, you must bring in 15 tickets or issue 15 tickets a day. Then sometimes for minor things that you could normally warn somebody, you want to meet your quota, so you're hustling. And some people say, oh my God, but show their backs on. So they're hustling and they're doing that. The strategy is, and then they say Again, you must read this because they said this strategy of broken window theory in New York was popularized by the now controversial Rudy Giuliani when he was mayor of New York. And people will complain that they disproportionately target minority communities. So the black communities that went arrest people, stop and sort and all this everything. So these are things to be studied and discussed and see what variations can be implemented to make sure that you deal with the situation. They talk about some of the criticisms, as I've said. People arrested of minor offenses can face job loss. You arrest a man for minor offense, can face problem, you lock you up for 72 hours, and have significant fines with disproportionate effects on the poorest community members. Then they say, they talk about racial bias, because when you implement the thing, they ain't going into certain communities. Then going to deal with certain races, right? Then they talk about limited effectiveness. There was some areas. Then they talk about alternative approaches. These are things to be studied. You got to have put some intellectual input into this thing. Intellectual input, not just walking about and talking and making all sorts of fancy promises and so on. Because the minister said, yeah, it is always advised less force and more engagement. Because you say the policing desk, this broader initiative to promote less force and more engagement, which is laudable, which is laudable. And again, that requires training because police, we have seen repeatedly, make use of force because they don't have the proper training. They don't know how to de-escalate, right? And then she went on to say, they said many of these groups become inactive. I've dealt with that. And they said steps are now being taken to revive and strengthen them, right? Integrating their efforts into the core of active police. Well, that is problematical. When you are going to integrate community policing people in the core of active policing, that is problem. That is problem. Because even the policemen that we have are not adequately trained. When you're going to get community policing groups, people you know, who are not police, you might make them, some of them, or even if you make all of them, rural constable, thereby giving them powers, limited powers of arrest. You're integrating them into active policing. What does that mean? What does that mean? Then they should say some the groups die, the community policing groups are going to be integrated into active policing. They said the philosophy is to use community policing groups as far as practicable, as opposed to uniform ranks with the use of force in domestic situation. What? You're going to use community policing group as opposed to uniform ranks? The ranks must be trained. The ranks you have must be trained that when they respond to a domestic violence, they know how to deal with it. Have people who are trained. Not next, you're sending community policing group. They're gonna what? They said that the philosophy is to use community policing groups as far as practical, as opposed to uniform ranks with the use of force in domestic situations. That has to be revisited. That has to be, well, I know if it's revisited, it's not implemented. It needs more thought. Then the minister goes on to say, this is a worrying part. The Minister Walton emphasized the importance of community-level intervention, particularly in remote regions where police presence may be limited and travel distance between communities and policing stations are substantial. Quote, if a person is feeling threatened, there's a community policing officer right there in the community with powers to enforce and intervene. I remember in those areas you talk about, the indigenous areas in particular, the Tashau, the leader, the chief of the group, the area, had that type of powers. Most of the Tashau, all of the Tashaus, I remember, were made rural constables. So if somebody behaving disorderly and think they can intervene and use the policing, limited policing authority to deal with it. And then she said that integrated with every police station now requiring having a community policing desk and a designated space for community policing officers. That is how they are going to be so much a part of this. So the minister is saying on our desk, somebody what they call the community policing sitting on this, to do what? To do flesh this thing out for us. Because in its current form, skeletal it might be, in the current form, you understand what the intention is? Because we say that is not what community policing is about. What should happen is that if you want, train people, identify specific ranks, especially the ranks who are known to have the flair for integrating and to mix it with the community. You want them to integrate with the NDCs and these people, with the groups, the community groups. They can go in, they can sit at meetings, they can hear what the problems are, they can offer solutions, and then they bring it back up the chain so that action can be taken. Now, this community policing thing, what people driving around the place by night, because I can't recall any community policing group that used to patrol during the day by night. So they were catering for certain activities during the course of the night. But one by day, when you get some of these very violence and robberies and all this stuff, this is clearly not thought out properly. She highlighted that people are more likely to trust officers who come from their own communities, right, rather than those posted outside. Well, Minister, let me tell you this. Larry Lewis, we have always mentioning, Larry Lewis sought to address that, right? And what did he do? He established the Adventure Training College. He established one in Regina to get people from the very area and the quarantine and the environs there to join the force and to have them put back in those areas, right? That was a disaster. It encouraged what we used to call inbreeding. So what you find? A man from a particular village, he joined the force, he was sent back in that area. The respect wasn't there for him because sometimes he called from, first of all, people knew his background. People knew his parents and his family background. Called from a family that was thief and all other things, behave bad, drink liquor. They didn't get no respect for him. They had no respect for him. And therefore, his ability to enforce the law was greatly reduced. That failed because, as we say, inbreeding. Men now arrest their family. The family can do all sorts of wrong. They not take no action. Whereas somebody who the father or the mother or the sister, somebody get problem with, they're gone and they're bullying them. That thing did not work. It did not work. And you know, when we analyze it, back in the day, so you got to reflect on your past, you know. You got to reflect on your past. When in the colonial days and all independence, if you were a little policeman from any area, when you finish your training, you were not sent back to the area from where you came. For that very reason. Because they felt that if you got back into that area, you are less effective as a rank. They send you someplace else where you can act impartially because you know nobody there. But what? They had to set up proper backroom facilities and all of the services. They can go there and so on. So you got to look at these things. I understand now that they're building over police stations. And I was saying, I hope that when they build back these new police stations that they boast about, they consider privacy and that this open backroom arrangement. But I understand many of these things are the open backroom arrangements. Open, and most of the other police will tell you, go to a station, you get a kitchen, and you get a stove, and you're able to buy your ration. Sometimes two of you or two squad, you team up, and you cook and so on. But you were very effective, and that had the effect too of ensuring that an adequate number of policemen were there when anything happened in the night. Because if you were from the East Coast, as I was, at your station, let's say, on the quarantine, you lived in the back room. You lived in the back room. And so therefore, when there was any serious incident in the night, they can come from the station down, say, look, come, we got something going on. So you always had a ready force to react. But what happened? With this thing what the minister talking about here, man, go back to where they come from, then you get these 8 to 4 policemen, or 9 to 5, where you want to call it. When they finish working, they got home. So when something happens during the night, it's only the 2 or 3 who are on duty at that time can deal with it. So this thing requires some thought. It requires some thought. Let me bring in Mr. Conway, and then we're going to move to the next subject. We have more. We're going to talk about this another day. Well, let me bring in CC, got time catching up with you. CC, go ahead.
Yeah, the minister statement is bare bones. She got to put flesh on it. You got to flesh out properly. And you mentioned about, sending them back to where they came from. Remember, we used to talk about incest, inbreeding. It's a dangerous thing. Yes, some might do well, but the others might not be a good thing. And I know when Larry Lewis started Adventure, because I built Adventure from scratch, the police training institution there. I built it from scratch. And then when I went back as commander, it was broken down. And through the efforts of the Central Quarantine Chamber of Commerce and Businessmen, we rebuilt it. And they name it, that building, Clinton Conway Block. Celia Prasad built another block there, and they name it Celia Prasad Block. And I think about 2 years now, they paint out me name and they paint out Celia Prasad name from the building. They want to, history. And that institution there, Watts come from there, Bodram come from there, Macbean come from there. All I introduced. Commander, I think Command Region 7 come from there. A whole set of senior people came from the Felix Austin Police College B Division. So the minister is trying something. But going back to the broken window theory, and they talk about incivilities. And they say incivilities lead to higher crime rate, victimization rates, and render perception and reduce perception of fear of crime. It said incivility lends to higher crime rate, victimization rate, and reduced perception of fear of crime. So if things ain't going good, if things ain't going good, incivility is going to set up. And when incivility is going to set up, all order will break loose. That people are getting, yeah, this is the normal, man. We could break a window, or we could throw a box of food on the road and them kind of thing. No. That is what the broken window theory part of it is saying.
Yeah, my brother. Yeah, let me switch quickly. We got a couple more minutes. We got to talk about this little what's going on in the country in terms of the politics. We had the election how long now? 4th of September. We had the parliament, 13th parliament on the 3rd of this month. Almost a month done. And they can't convene the speaker, whose constitutional responsibility it is to summon a meeting of members of the opposition to elect a leader of the opposition. And I see people run about talk about swearing in. All members of parliament have already been sworn in. We know that. Some weeks ago, they were already sworn in on the 3rd of this month. So there's no swearing in as far as I know. It's the election of the leader of the opposition, and then the speaker will advise the president and them who this person is. But that not mean because the person, the party that got the majority of the seat, we invest in Guyana party, leader Azzuddin Mohammed. We know that he's sanctioned by the US. We know that there's a ongoing extradition case where he's indicted by the US as well. And they're trying to get him and his father extradited. And the thing tied up in court and so on. And the question has been asked. People reckon he was in court on Monday, yeah. And then I understand, despite what you hear them propaganda people saying, there was not full disclosure, right? Additional disclosures were made on Monday, but based on what I learned, there has not been full disclosure. Full disclosure means that the prosecution has to present everything they have to the defense. And that has not been done. That is what the defense lawyers are claiming, right? So they returned to court on the 28th, which I think is Friday coming. The 28th, they returned to court. Incidentally, let me warn y'all early. I have to go to court that same day too. Friday, but our program is scheduled for Friday afternoon. My appearance in court is scheduled for 9:15 in the morning. So I suspect we can done by then. So you're gonna get your class. I think you're gonna get classes. I'll just start to mention that now. Now we understand what's going on. Couple people saying it looked like they didn't want to swear in the leader of the opposition because if the meeting is convened, all indications are Azzuddin Mohammed, the same man who is sanctioned, the same man who is indicted, and the same man who they are trying to extradite to the US is likely to become the leader of the opposition. They don't want that to happen, so they don't take chances. They don't want that to happen. So look like they're not swearing. But then if you read the Constitution, certain things that are to be done by the president require the involvement of the leader of the opposition. So right now, for example, there is, despite what they're saying, right now there is no police service commission. And the Constitution is clear about the process to appoint a police service commission, and that process involves the leader of the opposition. The appointment of the chancellor and the chief justice, same thing, leader of the opposition. Leader of the opposition. And let me say this, there are other appointments as well that require the involvement of the leader of the opposition. And let me tell you what my crystal ball is telling me. My crystal ball is telling me they're going to go ahead and they're going to appoint whoever they got to appoint without the involvement of the leader of the opposition. And then they're going to go to court, and then they're going to claim doctrine of necessity. Remember in the Ikin case, the same Ikin case? Same Ikin whether in the commercial police. When he was appointed, at the time, there was no leader of the opposition. And it was challenged in the High Court. Because the Constitution says that you have to have the president has to have meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition. And it was argued that that was not done. You know what the court ruled? And I'm paraphrasing, I'll give you the gist of it. The court ruled that at the time when the appointment was made, there was no leader of the opposition, and it was necessary for the appointment to be made, so everything was good. That is what the court ruled, the acting chief justice. So the precedent is set. So don't be surprised if an appointment is to be made that requires the involvement of the leader of the opposition, and they go ahead and making the appointment, and then argue later if it is challenged. Well, there was no leader of the opposition at the time. But as Justice Gino Prasad said in his ruling, in the case of Paul Slow versus the Attorney General, right? When they went ahead and they purported to suspend the Police Service Commission, when the Constitution 225, Article 225 requires the involvement of the Judicial Service Commission. And at the time, there was no Judicial Service Commission. And they argued, that the Attorney General, they argued, well, there was no Judicial Service Commission to set up the tribunal and all that type of thing that is required by the Constitution. I know what the judge said. The judge said the non-appointment of the Judicial Service Commission was the president's burden to bear because he had to appoint them, and you can't fail to appoint them and then come and argue in the court that, well, where there was no Judicial Service Commission. That is how the judge came, part of the ruling, to say that the decision of the president was arbitrary, null and void, unlawful, capricious, as other adjectives were used to describe the decision. So I am saying that they're likely to try to go the same route, and we shall see what is going to happen. These people are lawless. Let me understand. It's not only incompetence, but they are lawless. They don't concern about certain procedures and laws and all this type of thing. So what is preventing the speaker from calling the meeting to meeting of the opposition to elect the leader of the opposition? What is preventing them from doing? What is preventing him from doing that? They can't explain, and he hiding from the media. I understand. It's alleged that he's hiding from the media. He ain't face him when they ask any question and so on. But this is what we have for our government. That is what we have. Let me bring him CC, and then we're gonna for his closing and to comment on that. And I'm gonna give you a look forward. CC, time flies, huh? Yeah, CC, go ahead.
ruling Justice Gino Passar, let me just refresh people, part of what he said. It was unlawful in Convention of Article 225 of the Constitution, ultra-virus Article 225 of the Constitution, arbitrary, unreasonable, unfair, in violation of the suspended chairman and commissioners' constitutional rights that are protected in the laws of the due process, null and void and of no legal effect. That was the ruling of Justice Gino Passard. And the minister making some wild statement, some hasty generalization. But sometimes when the thing is close to you, you don't see it. And if you doubt me, try to see the dust in your eyes. I urge the minister to check and see what is happening with the budget for the community policing group, the budget that they have at our office. What is happening with that budget for the community policing group? They had a budget to be distributed, funds to be distributed countrywide. Find out. I want the minister to find out what really is happening with that budget.
Well, thank you, my brother. Thank you very much. Thank you. Had a long morning. Well, tomorrow is Thursday. Today is Wednesday. Again, I'll remind you, tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Well, when we started this program, I should have mentioned, the death anniversary of Sheila Older, co-founder of AFC. It passed silently. And this is part of the problem we have in this country, A stalwart, political stalwart like Sheila Older, or death passed. She died on the 20th of November 2011. And today, a day like today, the 26th, is when they had a funeral service for in Brooklyn. I remember that because I attended that funeral service, and then I was reminded on social media this morning, right? Sheila, who was a co-founder of the AFC, Tratman, Ola, Kemraj, Ramjatan. I think those were the three persons. But her death anniversary passed just like that. And the party that she formed, I can't recall them saying anything. So let me remind you all. And tomorrow, Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, I am disappointed that in the past 2 weeks, last Thursday and the Thursday before, the vice president, which is normally what they call press conference, what we call views out, he did not take part. And again, I have to ask the question, is he suffering from Lamborghini-itis? That disease, that debilitating disease, Lamborghini-itis. It is rather strange that since the election on the 1st of September, I think the vice president had like about 3 press conferences. When leading up to the elections and long before that, every Thursday, you could have people look forward. I did not, but people look forward to him telling you all sort of thing. Tell you, maybe he could come and he could tell you that he don't give a shit about the thing. Remember he tell you all this?
I don't give a shit about his Lamborghini.
Disease, that is symptoms from the disease. Lamborghini-itis, right? So I don't know if he's going to be there tomorrow, but just in case he comes tomorrow to tell us whatever he has to tell us, remember this.
It was a big bacchanal just the other day with Enid and Shimakume. Big comments the other Saturday with Enid and Chimakume. I ain't want to hear, so I pass him straight. A fella pull me and tell me wait. Same time Enid husband get off the bus. Well, it's now the Makume start to cuss. She say, look Enid, remember it's you who say how you hire your husband so total bay. Your sweet man does come home in the house too. He could only watch and he can't say, yeah Enid, woman, why you lying on me? Girl, I'm not in your category. And if even said what you said is true, you have a man with your husband too. It hurt me, but I felt so shame when I hear she called him my name. He's so shocked, he don't know what to do, so he stand up there listening to. A policeman was right on the beat, run to make an arrest, but he come as sweet. Enid is a big socialist in South. She want to cuss, but she hardly open she mouth. Girl, you should shame to kiss me for true. It's me, Enid, who you talking to. When you were sick in the hospital, I lend you me dress, me nighty and all. What you know about shame, the Makume say you didn't shame last week Saturday when your husband come home earlier. Instead, you had to hide the man underneath the bed. When the man hear that, he face come pale as mud. If you choke him, you can't get blood. Watching the wife and shaking the head, I say, Lord, well, tonight she dead. And next comments, woman listening shout, hey, hey, mouth open man Tori jump out. This time the Makume put she hand on she waist, and if you see how she getting on in the place, she say, look Enid, it's better you leave and go. Don't let me talk everything I know, because you and Doris couldn't agree. You tie the child in the girl belly. I don't care what you say to do. I am still Mistress Enid Bedu. Bailiff take back my TV set, and I never thief peas in the market yet. Now the husband shame, he couldn't take no more. He tell the wife, girl, come let we go. He hold she hand and he pulling she, but she tugging away from me. The Makume say, yes, you manny cool. You better take she away for true. She hire so dotish and borrow kid. What she give to rob, is that you take and eat? He say, listen young woman, stop making strife. You want to put me against my wife. In front me face, you're lying on she. My wife ain't have nobody with me. I know that man you are speaking about. That is her cousin Rufus from South. When he come home with a sleeping tree, sometime I myself does take me for me.
Big diplomatic views, man. You need that Shimakume. You need that Shimakume. I tell you about Lamborghini-itis, that disease. Another symptom. Here, look at another symptom of Lamborghini-itis.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Jurong?
Su. Oh, Su. My relationship? Nothing. He's a tenant in my place, yeah.
And he's a good friend of yours?
Yes, yes, he is a friend of ours.
He claims.
Here is stammering there. Look, here he's stammering there. And what? Listen to this. Here, no stammering.
I don't give a shit about his Lamborghini. But
no stammering there. Very fluent. I don't give a shit about the Lamborghini. But when you ask about Sue, who? Sue? Oh, Lord. Let me see what's going to happen tomorrow. Folks, we have had a long morning again. Happy Thanksgiving to all the folks in the U.S. Enjoy your day. Be safe. Eat your turkey or whatever else you just eat. Drink whatever you just drink. And remember, it is Thanksgiving. I know the background and the history. People tell you about how Thanksgiving started and the injustice to the forced people, all of that. But yeah, it's good to know that too. But take this day, give thanks to the Almighty, as we say, for allowing you to see a new day. And we always have things to be thankful for. Many of you I know are trying to be thankful for the cash handout. You're trying to be thankful for that. But they say a promise, you know, they say a promise is a comfort to a fool. So I know enough of you are not in that fool category. So make do with what you have. Make do with what you have. Promise, the purpose of the promise was to get votes for election. All them 2,000 police. I saw something here. We can talk about the next day. You know, every year you just get different parties. So inspectors and sergeant mess party. I hear the catering for about 3,000. I know where you gonna put them there. I will offer on Friday, if I remember, I'm gonna offer them a venue for 3,000 inspectors and sergeants and their guests. Not only well the guests and their 2,000 inspectors and sergeants and they're better off or their significant other plus guests. So you're talking about excess of 3,000 people. I'm gonna give you all a venue, man. I will give you all a venue, folks. We've had a long morning. As I say, enjoy tomorrow, Thanksgiving. God's Spirit Life, we're going to be here again on Friday. I have court Friday morning. But you know, Friday we come at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So things are going to be over by then. So just stay tuned. And if there is any change, I'll notify you if there's any change on Friday the 20th. So until we meet again, God's Spirit Life, again, I urge you to take good care of yourself, all the dangers around. Take good care of yourself and your family. Be well. Bye.